Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. This is a special edition video. It won't take long. It's merely just a Christmas shout out to some of the people this year that have been just a blessing and a benefit to me across the web and in general related to my Harebrained Games network. So without further ado, let's get into it. I am grateful this year for, as always, for my good friend who does No Enemies Here. For those of you who don't know that channel, No Enemies Here is a weekly, well, at least once a week he does a sort of a weekend news kind of thing. He does it every week, whereas I can barely do it once every few weeks. But I want to say and give it up for Dan. I think that he is one of the best champions for the industry, particularly in the wargaming and strategy gaming vein that you could ask for. He's vivacious, he's got a lot of humor, he's got just a down-home, life is life kind of attitude, and he really, really invests in the industry. Each week on Fridays, No Enemies Here will be going weekly segments, and they'll go over every single thing, like every place. He scours all of the usual haunts and says, here's what everybody's doing this week, which is perfect for me. And it's gotten to the point where on Friday nights I'll actually, once everyone's out watching TV or whatever, I'll get that ding on my phone. It's like, No Enemies Here, and in I go to watch it and see what people are doing every week. It's always on time. He compiles everything at a glance. He puts his all into it too. I mean, this is a guy that puts in, it's a lot of work for him to do that every week. And I'm very blessed, even in future years, but this year particularly because of all that he's been through and the ups and downs and equipment failures and whatever. So a big shout out to Christmas for my friend at No Enemies Here. Next, I want to give another channel some props. The Discriminating Gamer. Now, why is this important? The Discriminating Gamer is a guy, I think it's Cody Carlson or whatever, but his thing is, like, I've gotten some of my best groans of dad jokes from him because every single one of his reviews always has a pun at the start and usually a pun at the end. He's also a PhD, and so he has another side channel where he actually talks pure history, not just reviewing games. And so I want to, I like that he has this boots on the ground synopsis over polished fare, personally, where, it's just like, hey, this is me, I played the game, this is what I think, you guys know this is how I roll. I don't do any this is not polished. Like, I don't do polish, not nail polish, not video polish. You know this, and yet you still watch, and I'm grateful. And so, yeah, so check out The Discriminating Gamer and just kind of, check it out, see if it's something you like too. And also his alternate channel, because as someone who loves history, he's all the rage. So then we have the other shout out I want to give is to GMT Games. Now, they've been around for many years, and they have just continued to shine in putting out games about history, games that, war games, but also many other kinds of games and styles. I love their monthly newsletters. Every month you will get an idea, and I love how they do them. How they do it is very clever. It's like, here's a little hint of what's coming next month. Here's a little, and then the next month. So you're waiting. They really get the anticipation down right. I've gotten accustomed to their quality of components, and yes, they are very similar. They go through, and this is one of your cast your bread upon the waters things, because once you want something from them, they have the P500 system, which those of you who don't know, it means that when they decide they want to do a game, someone comes up with a design, they do a little bit of a kind of a pitch kind of thing, and they lay it out there for us. How many of you would be interested? And you're like, me. And if there's 500 people that say me, they go to the next level and the next step. Now, generally speaking, you hope it continues to rise to 700, 800 orders, whatever. The idea is they lock in the things that they're sure they're going to get an audience for, and then they go ahead and do it, and then they go off, make the components. Months later, they arrive. Usually bad things happen along the way in life the last few years, but they end up getting here. And some of my favorite and most highly respected designers are from there, because when you buy one of their games, you are buying a little bit of history in a box, because without fail, and only with one exception, you will get backstory, bibliography, references, everything you need to know about a particular situation or conflict, and many of these are unknown. Classic example, Colonial Twilight. The French-Algerian, post-World War II situation. I learned so much from that. Never, I could have read a book on it, or I could play the game, find the references. I can't tell you how much the books on warfare industry has benefited from me going and playing a game, going, I want to know more about this, and then going off and buying it and just familiarizing myself with history. I think it's one of the most entertaining ways to do it. It's a company I root for. And then I want to give a shout out to a special guy. His name is Joel Toppin. And Joel Toppin, he has his own little channel, network, whatever. But the thing about, and he just cracks me up. I have never met him, but I've been probably within 20 miles of him on my trips to Montana for Family Bible Camp each year. Joel Toppin is just a little bit of an unsung hero. He does a lot with GMT, but he also does a lot in general. Every time he's a hiker, he's a pastor, he's a history buff, and he's also some guy who contributes amazingly to the industry. He's the author of Comancheria and Navajo Wars, and he knows his stuff. Like knows his stuff. I always think of him as like Mountaintop Joel, because I see him. He's out there in nature, up in the mountains, and then he's he's making vassal modules for all of us, with the spare time to bless us, so that we can actually play these games together on the computer. I don't know. I just love that he mixes the glorious Montana nature with a love of war games and a service to Vassal, a service to us for Vassal. He's a quiet contributor, and I appreciate all of what he does in the vein of his work. So rock on, my friend Mountaintop Joel. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine who he plays video games and board games both, and he's over in Europe. And he has been a friend of mine for many years. We always at least talk on birthdays and whatever, but I am so grateful for him and what he's done in general. Every year, and I'm going to send a link to it, every year he's an incredibly talented artist and animator. And I'm going to give you a special link here where you can see a little bit of his work. Every year at Christmas he does a special video, and I got a chance to see it this year and see his channel, and I'm amazed for a guy who can barely hold a pencil, let alone do anything artistic. He cracks me up, so rock on, Pokey. And finally, and lastly, and most importantly, there are some subscribers, and I love them all. Again, I don't do this for the subscriptions. I don't do it to get the subscriber count up. I don't want it up. I just want people here who get some use out of it, and who we can talk and interact and just enjoy the joy that is board gaming. And so I want to give a special shout out to people who have put up with my amazingly low budget videos and just really helped bring my vision for this channel into fruition of having a place to discuss and enjoy board gaming with community and dignity towards each other. And so I want to shout out to Rockhopper this year, Banking on Money, Winterplum, Tom, Gilderais, R. Benoza, James Castelli, Slicker Drips, these people that just, they're just the kind-hearted people that I really enjoy, and it's just a privilege to know that they're there contributing and giving back. They've helped me learn and understand, and I haven't mentioned, I'm just naming off the top of my head. I know there's a lot more of you out there. Don't be dissed if I didn't mention you by name. Just know that I make a point to try to answer and make sure I comment on every single comment that comes my way, because that's absolutely the reason I do it, for the community I have in a strange place on YouTube, which generally isn't always about community. So thank you all. Merry Christmas to you all. And a good night. God bless, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.